I still hear my sister scream sometimes, usually right before I fall asleep. It's been 3 years, but that sound never really leaves you. It was the last thing Claire ever did, scream like that. After that, there was just silence and an empty nightgown in the yard. My name's Emma Garrison. I'm 17, and I live in Pine Hollow, which is this tiny spot in Harlan County, Kentucky that most people don't even know exists. We're tucked so far back in these mountains that you'd drive right past us if you didn't know where to look. No cell service, no internet, just us and the woods and whatever else lives out there in the dark. People think they know what Halloween is. They think it's about candy and costumes and kids running around having fun. That's not what Halloween is here. Here, Halloween is something you survive, if you're lucky. Every year on October 1st, we wake up and find the rules. Nobody writes them. Nobody puts them there. They just appear. Burned right into the wooden beam above our fireplace, like someone took a hot poker and carved each letter while we slept. The whole house smells like burning wood that morning, but when you touch the beam, it's cold. It's always cold. I was standing in the living room 6 days ago when I first saw this year's rules. It was barely light outside, and I'd gotten up to use the bathroom. That's when I noticed the smell. Burnt oak, sharp and bitter in the air. My mom was already standing there in her robe, staring up at the beam with this look on her face that I'd never seen before. Not scared exactly, more like defeated. It never got easier seeing them, but this time something felt different. The air in the room was heavier, like the house itself was holding its breath. "There's 7 this year," she said, without looking at me. I moved closer and read them. The letters were deep, burned at least an inch into the wood. The first rule said all windows had to be shuttered and locked before the church bell rang at sunset. If we heard tapping on the glass after dark, we couldn't look, and we couldn't respond. We just had to let whatever it was keep tapping. The second rule was about the offering. At exactly 9 p.m., we had to put out fresh milk and honey on the front porch. We couldn't watch it being taken. If we heard footsteps out there, we had to count to 100 with our eyes closed before we could look again. The third rule was simple, but it was the one that killed Claire. If we heard our name called from outside, it wasn't who we thought it was. If we answered, we'd be inviting something in. The fourth rule said, never go to the covered bridge after dark. If we saw a lantern light on the bridge, it meant someone had already broken the rule. The fifth rule was about white stones. If we found a circle of them in our yard, we had to step over it, never through it. Disturbing the stones meant something would follow us inside. The sixth rule said, at midnight, we had to put out all the lights and stay completely silent until we heard the midnight bell. Any movement or sound would be noticed. Then there was the seventh rule, and that's what had my mom looking so shaken. The old Pritchard house sits on the hill above our cabin, abandoned for as long as anyone can remember. The seventh rule said if that door stood open, we couldn't leave our home for any reason until sunrise. Whatever waited there was patient. There's never been a seventh rule, I said. My mom just pressed her hand against the burned letters. When she pulled it away, there was black ash on her palm. I know. I need to tell you about Claire so you understand why I'm so scared. 3 years ago, she was 12 and I was 14. Claire was the kind of kid who wasn't afraid of anything. She'd catch spiders with her bare hands and laugh when thunder shook the house. Mom always said she got that from our dad, who died before I was old enough to remember him. He'd been fearless too, right up until the Halloween he went outside during the silence and never came back. That October 31st started like any other. We followed the rules exactly. Windows shuttered before the bell. Milk and honey on the porch at 9. We sat in the living room with the lights low, listening to the footsteps that came at 9:15. They were heavy, slow, and there was this wet, dragging sound between each step, like something was being pulled across the wood. We never talked about what that might be. At 11:47, Claire said she needed to use the outhouse. Our cabin's old, built in the 1800s, and we still don't have indoor plumbing. The outhouse is about 20 yards from the back door. Wait 13 minutes, Mom said, grabbing Claire's arm. The midnight silence starts soon. You can hold it. But Claire was stubborn. I'll be quick. I won't make any noise. No. Mom, I'm not going to pee myself because of some old superstition. It's not superstition. Mom's voice cracked. She was almost crying. Claire, please. Just 13 minutes. I should have stopped her. I was older. I should have tackled her or blocked the door or something. But I was tired, and some stupid part of me thought maybe, just maybe, the rules were something made up by scared old people who didn't know any better. Claire opened the back door at 11:51 p.m. and stepped out into the dark. Mom stood there with her hand still reaching out, frozen like a statue. We could hear Claire's footsteps in the leaves, heading toward the outhouse. We heard the door creak open, then shut. Everything was fine. She'd be back in a minute, and we'd all laugh about how worried we'd been. Except at 11:55, we should have heard her coming back. We didn't hear anything. At 11:57, Mom whispered, she should be back now. At 11:59, I heard my name, Emma. It came from right outside the back door. It sounded exactly like Claire. Same voice, same tone, like she'd called my name 1,000 times before. Emma, help me. I can't find the door. Mom's hand clamped over my mouth so fast I didn't have time to respond. Her eyes were huge and terrified. She was shaking her head, tears running down her face. Emma, please. It's so dark out here. I'm scared. Every part of me wanted to open that door. It was my sister. She was scared. She needed me. But Mom held me so tight I could barely breathe, and she kept shaking her head. The church bell started ringing at midnight. On the third ring, Claire's voice changed. It got deeper, wrong, like someone was stretching it out until it didn't sound human anymore. Emma! On the seventh ring, something hit the door so hard I thought it would break. The whole frame shook. On the 12th ring, everything went quiet. We stayed frozen like that until the sun came up. When we finally opened the door, we found Claire's nightgown in the yard, torn and covered in something dark. Her shoes were on the porch steps, placed neatly side by side with the laces tied together in a bow. We never found Claire. The sheriff came, people searched, but everyone who'd lived here long enough knew the truth. You break the rules, you don't come back. Mom hasn't been the same since. She barely talks, barely eats. She just moves through the days like she's waiting for something. And now it's October 31st again, and the sun's going down. In 10 minutes, the church bell will ring. Mom's in the kitchen trying to pour milk with hands that won't stop shaking. I'm supposed to be shuttering the windows. But 3 days ago, I saw lantern light on the covered bridge. Yesterday, I found a circle of white stones in our yard. And right now, I'm looking up at the hill, at the old Pritchard house, and the front door is standing wide open. There's something in the doorway. Tall, thin, wearing what looks like a wide-brimmed hat. It's too far away to see clearly, but I can tell it's looking at our cabin. As I watch, it raises one long arm and motions for me to come. The church bell starts ringing. I slam the shutter closed and lock it. Mom appears next to me. Her face is white. You saw it. I nod. Then it's starting, she whispers. God help us, Emma. It's really starting. The last shutter clicks into place just as the church bell finishes its 12th ring. My hands are shaking so bad I can barely work the lock. Mom's already moved away from the window, backing toward the center of the living room like she's afraid to be too close to the walls. Did you see what it looked like? I ask, my voice coming out quieter than I meant it to. She shakes her head. Don't talk about it. Don't even think about it. That's how they get in. I want to ask what she means, but the look on her face stops me. I've seen my mom scared before, plenty of times on Halloween night, but this is different. This is the kind of fear that makes people do desperate things. The cabin feels smaller with the shutters closed. Darker. The kerosene lamps cast long shadows that seem to move, even when we're standing still. Outside, I can hear the wind picking up, rattling the shutters, making sounds that could be anything. We need to set up for the offering, Mom says, checking the old clock on the mantel. It's 7:15. We have almost 2 hours before we need to put out the milk and honey, but Mom's already pulling out the clay bowl we use every year. It's old, older than the cabin probably, with strange marks carved around the rim that nobody in our family has ever been able to read. She pours the milk carefully, then adds 3 spoonfuls of honey, stirring it with a wooden spoon that's only ever used for this one purpose. Her hands have steadied a little now that she has something to do. I think the routine helps her, gives her something to focus on besides the memory of Claire. "Emma," she says without looking up from the bowl, "I need you to promise me something." "Okay. No matter what you hear tonight, no matter what sounds come from outside, you don't open any doors. You don't look through any gaps in the shutters. You don't respond to any voices." She finally looks at me, and her eyes are red. "Even if it sounds like me, even if it sounds like I'm hurt or dying or begging you to help, you don't open that door." My stomach drops. "Mom, what are you talking about?" "Just promise me. Why would it sound like you? You're going to be right here with me." She sets down the spoon and grips the edge of the counter. Sometimes people have to go outside. Sometimes there's no choice. If that happens tonight, if I have to leave this cabin for any reason, and then you hear my voice calling from out there, it won't be me anymore. Do you understand? I don't understand. I don't understand at all, and that terrifies me more than anything else. Mom, you're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. Being scared keeps you alive. She picks up the bowl and carries it to the small table by the door. The 7th rule appeared for a reason, Emma. Things are changing, getting worse. I think whatever's out there is getting stronger, or maybe just hungrier. Either way, we have to be more careful than ever. I want to ask her more, want to know what she's not telling me, but there's a sound from outside that makes us both freeze. Tapping, light and rhythmic, coming from the far window, the one in my bedroom. We're not supposed to look. Rule 1 is clear about that. But standing there in the living room, listening to that patient, persistent tapping, it takes everything I have not to run to my room and peek through a crack in the shutter. "Ignore it," Mom whispers. It sounds like fingernails on glass, slow and deliberate, like whatever's doing it has all the time in the world, like it knows we're in here listening. The tapping continues for 5 minutes. Then it stops. The silence that follows is somehow worse. I strain my ears, trying to hear any sound that might tell me what was out there, where it went. But there's nothing. Just the wind and the creaking of the old cabin settling. Mom checks the clock again. 8:30. Half an hour until the offering. We sit in the living room, not talking, just waiting. I keep thinking about the figure in the doorway of the Pritchard house, about the way it beckoned to me. What would have happened if I'd gone up there, if I'd walked through that open door? At exactly 9 p.m., Mom picks up the bowl and carries it to the front door. Her hand hovers over the doorknob. "Count with me," she says. We open it, place the bowl, and close it. 3 seconds, no more. I nod and move beside her. 1. She unlocks the door. 2. She pulls it open just wide enough to set the bowl on the porch. 3. She slams it shut and throws the lock. We both step back, breathing hard like we just ran a mile. Through the door, I can hear nothing. No footsteps, no movement. But the offering is out there now, and something will come for it. Something always does. Now we wait, Mom says. When we hear the footsteps, we close our eyes and count to 100. No peeking, no matter what. We sit on the couch, staring at the door. Minutes pass, 5, 10, 15. I'm starting to think maybe nothing's coming this year when I hear it. Footsteps on the porch. But these don't sound like the heavy, dragging steps from earlier. These are light, quick, almost dancing. They move across the porch in a strange pattern, back and forth, circling around where the bowl should be. Close your eyes, Mom hisses. Count. I squeeze my eyes shut and start counting. 1, 2, 3. The footsteps continue, faster now. 4, 5, 6. There's a sound like slurping, wet and eager. 7, 8, 9. Something scrapes across the wood, maybe the bowl being dragged. 10, 11, 12. Then I hear humming. It's a tune I almost recognize, something old that Mom used to sing when I was little. But it's wrong, off-key. Like whoever's humming it doesn't quite understand how the melody is supposed to go. 13, 14, 15. The humming gets closer to the door. Right on the other side, just a few inches of wood between us and whatever's out there. I can hear breathing now, fast and excited. 20, 21, 22. Emma! The voice is sing-song, playful. It sounds like a little girl. It sounds like Claire. My eyes snap open before I can stop myself. Mom's hand shoots out and covers them, pressing so hard it hurts. Keep counting, she breathes in my ear. Don't look. Keep counting. 23, 24, 25. I brought you something, Emma. Don't you want to see? It's a present. Claire brought you a present. My whole body is shaking. It sounds so much like her. Exactly like her. The same little girl voice she had before she turned 12, before everything happened. 30, 31, 32. Something scratches at the door. Long, dragging scratches like nails on wood. Please let me in, Emma. I'm so cold out here. I've been cold for 3 years. Please. 50, 51, 52. Mom's counting under her breath with me now, her lips moving against my hair. The scratching gets more frantic, desperate. 70, 71, 72. Fine. The voice explodes into rage, deep and horrible. Fine. You want to stay in there? Stay in there. But the night's just started, Emma. We have so much more to show you. 98, 99, 100. The porch goes silent. Mom slowly removes her hand from my eyes. I open them to find her staring at me with this mixture of relief and fury. You opened your eyes, she says. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. It sounded just like, I know what it sounded like, but it wasn't her. It's never them, Emma. No matter how much it sounds like them, it's never really them. I'm crying now, and I hate myself for it. How do you know? Because the real Claire would never ask to come in. She'd know what that meant. She'd know what she'd become. Mom pulls me into a hug, and I can feel her shaking too. We have 3 more hours until midnight. 3 more hours of silence, then we're done. We can make it. But even as she says it, we both hear something that makes our blood run cold. Footsteps, coming from inside the cabin, from the hallway, from the direction of my bedroom. We're not alone in here anymore. The footsteps in the hallway are soft, almost careful, like someone trying not to be heard. But in the dead silence of the cabin, every creak of the floorboard sounds like thunder. Mom's grip on my arm is so tight it hurts. We're both staring down the dark hallway that leads to the bedrooms. The kerosene lamp in the living room doesn't reach that far, and the shadows there are thick and solid-looking. The windows, I whisper. I locked all the shutters. I checked them twice. I know. Mom's voice is barely audible. But you opened your eyes during the count. When you look at them, even for a second, you give them something. A connection. Maybe that was enough. The footsteps stop. Whatever's back there is standing still now, waiting. I can feel it watching us, even though I can't see it. What do we do? I ask. Mom doesn't answer right away. She's thinking, and I can see the calculations happening behind her eyes. The rules don't say what to do if something gets inside. They tell you how to keep things out. But once that fails, you're on your own. We stay here, she finally says, in the light. We don't go back there, and we don't let it come out here. How do we stop it from coming out? She reaches behind the couch and pulls out something I haven't seen in years. Dad's old rifle. It's covered in dust and probably hasn't been fired since before he died, but Mom holds it like she knows exactly what she's doing. Mom, you really think that'll work on whatever that is? No, she says honestly, but it might slow it down. The footsteps start again, closer now. They're moving down the hallway toward us, slow and deliberate. Step, pause, step, pause, like whatever's making them is enjoying our fear. Then I hear something that makes my skin crawl, humming, that same off-key tune from outside. But now it's coming from the hallway, getting closer with each step. Mom raises the rifle, pointing it at the darkness. Her hands are steady now. Fear does strange things to people. Sometimes it paralyzes you, and sometimes it turns you into something harder than you knew you could be. A shape appears at the edge of the lamplight. At first, it's just a shadow, darker than the others. But as it moves forward, I can start to make out details, and I immediately wish I couldn't. It's shaped like a person, roughly. 2 arms, 2 legs, a head. But everything's wrong. The proportions are off. The arms hang down too far, almost to the knees. The head tilts at an angle that would break a normal person's neck. And the way it moves, it's not walking so much as dragging itself forward, its feet scraping across the floor. Stop right there, Mom says, her voice strong and clear. You're not welcome in this house. The thing stops at the very edge of the light. I still can't see its face, but I can see its hands. The fingers are too long, too thin, and they're moving constantly, flexing and curling like they're practicing grabbing something.
Emma,
it says, and the voice is wrong in every possible way. It sounds like it's coming from everywhere at once, bouncing off the walls.
Emma, don't you recognize me?
Don't answer it, Mom hisses.
It's me. It's Claire. I came back. Isn't that what you wanted?
I bite down on my lip hard enough to taste blood. I won't answer. I won't give it anything. The thing takes another step forward, and now the lamplight falls on its face. I wish it hadn't. I wish I could unsee it. It's wearing Claire's face like a mask, but it doesn't fit right. The eyes are too far apart, the mouth too wide. When it smiles, there are too many teeth. 3 years is a long time to be alone in the dark, it says. Do you know what it's like out there, Emma? In the woods? Where they took me? Mom pulls the trigger. The sound is deafening in the small cabin. The thing staggers backward, and for a moment, I think maybe the rifle actually worked. But then it straightens up, and I see the hole in its chest, and nothing's coming out. No blood, no nothing. Just a dark, empty space. It looks down at the hole, then back up at us. The smile gets wider. Iron and lead, it says, almost laughing. You think iron and lead can hurt us? We're older than metal, older than fire. We were here before your grandmother's grandmother was born, and we'll be here long after you're gone. Mom's already reaching for another shell, but her hands are shaking again. The thing moves forward, faster now, and I do the only thing I can think of. I grab the lamp and throw it. The kerosene splashes across the thing's chest and ignites immediately. It screams, a sound so awful that I clap my hands over my ears, but I can still hear it, feel it vibrating in my bones. The fire spreads quickly, catching on its clothes, its hair, that horrible mask of Claire's face. It stumbles backward down the hallway, crashing into the walls, still screaming. The smell is unbearable, like burning hair and rotten meat. Mom grabs my hand and pulls me toward the kitchen, away from the flames that are now spreading to the hallway walls. "We need water," she shouts over the roar of the fire. "The pump." We have an old hand pump in the kitchen, the only source of water in the cabin. Mom starts working the handle frantically while I grab every pot and bucket I can find. The fire is spreading fast, too fast. Old wood burns easy, and the whole cabin could go up in minutes. But as I'm running back with the first bucket of water, I see something that stops me cold. The thing is still in the hallway, still burning, but it's not stumbling anymore. It's standing up straight, and it's walking toward us through the flames like they're not even there. "It's not stopping," I say. "Mom, the fire's not stopping it." She looks past me and sees what I'm seeing. The burning figure moving steadily closer, pieces of its false skin falling away to reveal something darker underneath, something that was never human at all. "The door," Mom says. "We have to get it outside, back where it came from." "Are you insane? Rule 7. The Pritchard house door is open. We can't go outside." "We don't have a choice." She drops the pump handle and runs to the front door. "If we stay in here, we burn with it. If we go out there, maybe we have a chance." The thing is almost to the kitchen now. I can feel the heat from the flames, can see what's beneath that Claire mask. Something that should never exist in the real world. Mom throws open the front door, and the cold October air rushes in. Outside, it's full dark now, the kind of dark that feels alive, that presses against you. "Come on," she screams at the thing. "You want us? Come and get us." The burning figure tilts its head, considering. Then it lunges forward, incredibly fast, crossing the distance between us in a heartbeat. Mom and I dive out of the way, and it crashes through the open doorway onto the porch. The moment it crosses the threshold, something happens. The flames go out instantly, like someone threw a switch. The thing staggers, and I hear sounds from outside, other sounds, movement in the darkness beyond the porch, things that were waiting out there, watching, and now they know we've opened the door. "Get back inside," Mom whispers urgently. "Now, right now." We scramble backward through the doorway. Mom slams the door shut and locks it, but we both know it's too late. We broke Rule 7. We left the house while the Pritchard door was open. And now, as I look through the gap in the shutters that I know I shouldn't look through, I can see them. Dozens of figures, maybe more, emerging from the tree line. Some are tall, some are short, some barely look human at all. They're all moving toward the cabin, slow and purposeful, like they have all the time in the world. And standing in front of them all, no longer burning, is the thing that wore Claire's face. Behind it, the covered bridge in the distance glows with lantern light. Through our window, I can see the circle of white stones in our yard starting to glow too, pulsing with a sick, greenish light. Mom checks the clock. 10:47 p.m. "We have to make it to midnight," she says. "Just one more hour of silence. If we can make it to midnight, maybe they can't come in. Maybe the old protections will hold." But even as she says it, we both know the truth. We broke too many rules tonight. Let something in, went outside when we shouldn't have, and now the things in the darkness know we're weak. The scratching starts on every window at once. Not tapping this time, clawing, desperate and hungry. 1 hour until midnight. 1 hour until the silence. I don't think we're going to make it. The scratching is everywhere now, surrounding us, coming from every wall at once. It sounds like dozens of hands clawing desperately at the wood, trying to dig their way through. The shutters rattle in their frames. The whole cabin shakes with the force of it. Mom is moving through the house with the salt, pouring new lines in front of every door and window. Her bag is almost empty, and I can see the panic in her eyes. We used too much earlier. We don't have enough to reinforce everything. The bedroom windows, she says, thrusting the bag at me. Go! Salt them. Whatever's left. I run down the hallway, past the scorch marks on the walls from the fire, past the place where that thing stood wearing my sister's face. My bedroom door is open, and I can see one of the shutters is hanging loose. There's a gap, just a few inches, but it's enough. Something is looking through. I freeze in the doorway. There's an eye pressed against the gap, huge and yellow, with a pupil that's shaped all wrong. It's not round, it's more like a keyhole, and it's staring right at me. As I watch, the shutter creaks, bending inward. Whatever's on the other side is pushing. I force my legs to move, rushing forward with the salt. My hands are shaking so badly that half of it spills on the floor, but I manage to pour a line across the windowsill. The moment the salt touches the wood, the eye jerks back and the pressure on the shutter stops. I hear something outside hiss in pain or anger, then footsteps moving away. But there are other footsteps to replace them. So many footsteps. I secure the shutter as best I can and pour the last of the salt along the threshold of my bedroom door. When I get back to the living room, Mom is standing in the center, turning slowly, looking at all the walls like she's trying to decide which one will break first. How much time? I ask. She glances at the clock. 32 minutes. 32 minutes until midnight. Mom, what happens if we don't make it? What happens if they get in before midnight? She doesn't answer, which is an answer in itself. The scratching stops suddenly, all at once, and the silence that follows is worse. I can hear my own heartbeat, loud and fast in my ears. I can hear Mom's breathing, quick and shallow. Outside, nothing. No movement, no sounds. Like everything out there is holding its breath. Then someone knocks on the door. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. We both stare at it. The knocks come again, 3 more, louder this time. We don't answer, Mom whispers, no matter what. The knocking continues. 3 knocks, pause, 3 knocks, pause. It's rhythmic, almost hypnotic. After the 10th set, a voice calls out, Mrs. Garrison? Emma? It's Sheriff Palmer. I saw smoke from your cabin. Is everything all right in there? Mom's face goes white. Sheriff Palmer has known us for years. He's the one who organized the search parties when Claire disappeared. He's helped us fix our roof, brought us food during hard winters. His voice sounds exactly right, concerned and official. Don't, Mom says, reading my face. Mrs. Garrison, I need you to open the door. I have to make sure you're safe. There's more knocking now, insistent. I can smell smoke. If there's a fire, I need to get you out. Please, open the door. My hand is moving toward the lock before I realize what I'm doing. Mom grabs my wrist hard enough to bruise. It's not him, she hisses. Look at the clock. Sheriff Palmer lives in town, a 40-minute drive away. Even if he saw smoke, even if he left the moment he saw it, there's no way he could be here this fast. And Sheriff Palmer knows the rules. Everyone in town knows about Pine Hollow and what happens here on Halloween. The real Sheriff Palmer would never come up here after dark on October 31st. Mrs. Garrison, I'm going to have to break this door down if you don't open it, for your own safety. The doorknob starts to turn, twisting back and forth even though it's locked. The lock is old, just a simple bolt. It won't hold if something really wants in. Mom raises the rifle again, pointing it at the door. Get behind me. The doorknob stops moving. There's silence for a moment, and then the voice changes, gets deeper, colder.
You can't hide in there forever. The night is long, and we are patient. When the lights go out, when you're sitting there in the dark trying not to breathe, not to move, we'll be listening. And if you make even the smallest sound, the tiniest mistake. We'll know exactly where you are.
The voice laughs, and it doesn't sound anything like Sheriff Palmer anymore. It sounds like wind howling through a grave. Then the footsteps move away from the door, and we're alone again. Mom lowers the rifle slowly. I check all the salt lines while she winds the old clock, making sure it's accurate. The scratching has started again, but it's different now. Less frantic, more methodical, like whatever's out there is testing the walls, looking for weak points. Lights, Mom says. We have to put them out. We move through the cabin, extinguishing the kerosene lamps one by one. The darkness rushes in to fill the space, thick and complete. The only light left is the faint glow of the moon coming through cracks in the shutters, painting thin silver lines across the floor. Mom and I sit on the couch, close enough that our shoulders touch. The rifle is across her lap. I'm holding an iron poker from the fireplace, even though I don't think it'll do any good. Outside, the sounds intensify. Scratching, footsteps, voices calling our names. They know what's happening. They know we have to be silent now. The clock begins to chime midnight. On the first chime, all the sounds outside stop. On the second chime, I hear breathing. Inside the house, close to us. On the third chime, Mom's hand finds mine in the darkness and squeezes. On the fourth chime, something touches my hair. I want to scream. Every instinct in my body is telling me to scream, to run, to do something, anything. But I can't. The silence rule is absolute. Any sound, any movement, and they'll know exactly where we are. On the fifth chime, the breathing gets closer. I can feel it on my neck, cold and damp. On the sixth chime, Mom's grip on my hand tightens painfully. On the seventh chime, I feel fingers, long and cold, trailing down my spine. On the eighth chime, something whispers in my ear, so quiet I can barely hear it.
I see you.
On the ninth chime, the thing moves away, and I hear it walking through the darkness, its footsteps soft on the wooden floor. On the 10th chime, there's a crash from the kitchen, something breaking. On the 11th chime, my lungs are burning. I need to breathe. I need to breathe so badly. On the 12th chime, everything goes silent again. We sit frozen in the darkness, not moving, barely breathing. The rule says we have to stay silent until we hear the bell again, the one that signals the end of the silence. But I don't know how long that is. Minutes? An hour? How long can we sit here with things moving through the darkness around us? Somewhere in the house, I hear a door creak open, then footsteps, then another door. They're searching, room by room, looking for us even though they have to know we're right here. Mom's hand is still holding mine, and I focus on that. The warmth of her skin, the steady pressure. It's the only real thing in all this darkness. Time stretches out, impossible to measure. Could be 5 minutes, could be 50. All I know is that my legs are cramping, my back aches, and I'm so scared I can barely think. Then I hear it. A bell, distant but clear. The church bell ringing once to signal the end of the silence. Mom releases my hand and stands slowly. I hear her fumbling with matches, and then light flares as she relights one of the lamps. The warm glow pushes back the darkness, and I can see the living room again. It's empty. Whatever was in here with us is gone, but the cabin is destroyed, furniture overturned, pictures torn from walls, everything we own scattered and broken across the floor. And on every wall, scratched deep into the wood, are words. Next year there will be 8 rules. Mom stares at the words scratched into the walls, her face completely expressionless. I think she's in shock. I know I am. My whole body feels numb, disconnected, like I'm watching this happen to someone else. We need to check the house, she finally says, her voice flat. Make sure nothing stayed behind. We move through the cabin room by room, lamp held high, the rifle ready in Mom's other hand. My bedroom is a disaster. The mattress has been shredded, stuffing pulled out and scattered everywhere. My clothes are torn from the closet and ripped to pieces, but the thing that makes my stomach turn is the mirror. Someone, or something, has written on it in what looks like ash or soot. We know your face now. Mom's bedroom is worse. Her bed frame is broken, splintered like something incredibly strong just snapped it in half. The walls are covered in those same scratched messages. 8 rules, 8 rules, 8 rules, over and over until the words blur together. The kitchen is where we find the source of the crash we heard during the silence. Every dish we own is smashed on the floor, broken into tiny pieces. The table is flipped over. The hand pump has been bent at an angle like someone tried to rip it out of the floor. But we're alone. Whatever was in here with us during the silence is gone now. We end up back in the living room, standing among the wreckage of our home. The clock on the mantel, somehow still intact, shows 12:47 a.m. We made it through midnight. We survived. We should try to sleep, Mom says, though her eyes are wide and wild. We need to stay inside until sunrise. That's still 3 hours away. Mom, I can't sleep after this. How could anyone sleep? Then we wait. She sits down on the couch, which is tilted to one side now, one of its legs broken. We wait, and when the sun comes up, we leave. Leave? Leave where? Anywhere, town, another state. I don't care. She looks at me, and I've never seen her look so defeated. Emma, we can't come back here next year. You saw what they wrote. 8 rules. They're getting stronger, more demanding. Eventually there will be so many rules that it'll be impossible to follow them all. And then they'll have us. I want to argue, want to tell her we can't just abandon our home, but I can't. She's right. Everything about tonight proved she's right. We barely survived 7 rules. How could we possibly survive 8? Or 9? Or 10? What about everyone else? I ask. The other families in Pine Hollow. We can't just leave them here. They'll make their own choices. Some of them have already left. The Whitakers moved to Lexington 2 years ago. The Mackenzies left last spring. We're some of the last ones still here, and after tonight, I don't think anyone will blame us for going. She's probably right about that, too. The few families that remain in Pine Hollow are the stubborn ones, the ones with generations of history here who can't imagine living anywhere else. But history doesn't matter much when you're dead. A sound from outside makes us both jump. Footsteps on the porch. Heavy, slow footsteps moving from one end to the other. We hold our breath, waiting. The footsteps stop at the front door. Then there's a knock. Single, hard knock. Mom and I look at each other in horror. Mom stands up slowly, the rifle in her hands. Maybe if we don't answer, it'll go away. But the knock comes a 3rd time, and this time the whole door shakes with the force of it. A voice calls out, rough and ancient.
Offering. Required. Open.
We don't have it, Mom shouts at the door. We have nothing to give you. Silence. Then the voice again, and it sounds almost confused.
No offering. Rules broken.
The rules are over, I yell, surprising myself with my own courage, or maybe it's just desperation. It's past midnight. Halloween is over. You have to leave. There's a long pause, then something that might be laughter, low and cruel.
Rules never over. Rules forever. But tonight, you get warning. Tomorrow night, next night, night after that, all quiet. But next Halloween, 8 rules. And you give double offering, double milk, double honey, or we take double payment.
The footsteps move away from the door, heavy and deliberate. fading into the distance. Mom sinks back onto the couch, the rifle clattering to the floor. She puts her face in her hands. "Double offering," she says through her fingers. "They've never asked for double before. Never." I sit next to her, and we stay like that for a long time, not talking, just sitting in the wreckage of our home. Outside, the night continues, dark and full of sounds we try not to identify. Somewhere in the distance, something howls, long and mournful. At 2:30 a.m., I notice something. The carved words above the fireplace, the rules that appeared on October 1st, they're changing. As I watch, new letters burn themselves into the wood beneath the original 7 rules. Rule 8. The double offering must be presented in the old way, in the clay bowl marked with signs, with words of invitation spoken aloud. Silence is no longer sufficient. My blood runs cold. Mom, look." She looks up and sees what I'm seeing. The 8th rule appearing now, like they can't wait to tell us what they'll demand next year. "Words of invitation," she reads aloud. "They want us to invite them to take the offering. They want us to acknowledge them, to speak to them." She stands up, moving closer to read the new rule. That's worse than anything before. If we speak to them, if we use words of invitation, that's consent. That's permission. Once we give them that, there's no telling what they'll be able to do. As we watch, more words burn into the wood. Not a rule this time, a message. "We will see you next October, Emma. We will wear Claire's face again. We will make it perfect this time. You will want to let us in." I feel sick. The thought of seeing that thing again, wearing my sister's face, but better, more convincing, more real. How could I possibly resist that? How could anyone? "We're leaving," Mom says firmly. "Tonight. As soon as the sun comes up, we pack what we can carry and we leave. We don't come back, not for anything." "Where will we go?" "I have a cousin in Ohio. She's been asking us to visit for years. We'll go there, we'll start over." "What about the cabin? Our things?" "None of it matters, Emma. Things can be replaced. You can't." She pulls me into a hug, and I can feel her shaking. "I already lost Claire. I won't lose you too." We spend the next hour moving through the destroyed cabin, salvaging what we can. Photo albums, important documents, some clothes that weren't ripped apart, Mom's jewelry box that belonged to her mother, my dad's rifle, which we'll take with us even though we know it doesn't really work against them. At 3:45 a.m., I'm in my room packing a bag when I hear Mom scream. I run to the living room and find her standing by the front window, staring out through a crack in the shutter. Her face is white as paper. "What? What is it?" She points, her hand trembling. I look out the window and my heart stops. The circle of white stones in our yard, the ones I saw earlier. But this time, there's something in the center of the circle. A figure, small and still, wearing a white nightgown. It looks exactly like Claire. Not the twisted thing that came into our cabin earlier. Not the version with too many teeth and wrong eyes. This looks like my sister the way she was 3 years ago. Perfect. Real. Even from here, I can see her face clearly in the moonlight. And it's her. It's really her. She's looking up at the cabin, at our window, and she's crying. "Emma," the figure calls out. And it's Claire's voice, exactly right. No distortions or wrongness. "Emma, please. They said if you come get me, I can come home. They said the circle is safe. They said you just have to step inside and lead me out. Please, Emma, I want to come home. I've been so scared. Please." Mom grabs my arm. Don't even think about it." "But what if it's really her?" The words tumble out before I can stop them. What if she's been out there this whole time and they're finally letting her go? "It's not her, Emma. You know it's not." But I don't know. That's the problem. She looks so real. She sounds so real. And what if there's even a chance, even the smallest possibility, that my sister is standing out there in the cold, waiting for me to save her? Rule 5, Mom says desperately. Step over the circle, never through it. If you step through it, you break the rule. And she's asking you to step inside. Don't you see? It's a trap. The figure in the circle keeps crying, keeps calling my name. Please, Emma. Dawn is coming. If you don't come before sunrise, they'll take me back to the woods. Please. I'm so cold, I've been cold for 3 years. My hand is on the door lock before I realize what I'm doing. Mom slams her body against the door, knocking my hand away from the lock. No, absolutely not. But what if? There is no what if. She grabs my shoulders, forcing me to look at her. Emma, listen to me. Claire died 3 years ago. Whatever is in that circle, it's not your sister. It's wearing her face, using her voice, but it's not her. And if you step inside that circle, you'll never come back out. Tears are streaming down my face now. How can you be so sure? How do you know she's really gone? Because I found something. Mom's voice breaks. 3 years ago, 2 days after Claire disappeared, I went back to the outhouse. I looked where no one else thought to look. Underneath the floorboards, there was a hole. Something had dug down into the earth, deep enough that I couldn't see the bottom, even with a flashlight. And at the edge of that hole, I found this. She reaches into her pocket and pulls out something small, a bracelet. The friendship bracelet I made for Claire the summer before she disappeared, with her name woven into the pattern in blue and green thread. It's covered in dirt and something darker, something that looks like old blood. She's gone, Emma. Whatever took her that night dragged her down into the earth. What's standing in that circle isn't Claire. It's just something wearing her shape. I look at the bracelet, and something inside me breaks. All this time, some part of me held on to hope. Hope that Claire was out there somewhere, alive, waiting to be rescued. But the evidence is right here in my hand, dirty and stained and final. Outside, the Claire thing is still calling. Emma, why won't you answer me? Don't you love me anymore? Don't you want me to come home? I'm sorry, Claire, I whisper. Not to the thing outside, but to the real Claire, wherever she is. I'm so sorry I couldn't save you. Mom pulls me into a hug, and we stand there crying together, while the thing outside keeps calling, keeps begging, its voice getting more desperate as the minutes pass. Then, slowly, the voice starts to change. The desperation turns to anger.
Fine. Stay in there. Hide behind your walls and your salt and your precious rules. But we'll see you next year, Emma. We'll see you next October, and maybe we'll wear your mother's face instead. Would you open the door for her? Would you step into the circle if it was her asking?
Mom's grip on me tightens. We watch through the window as the figure in the circle begins to twist and distort, Claire's perfect face melting away to reveal something else beneath, something with too many joints and angles that hurt to look at. It screams, a sound of pure rage and frustration, and then it sinks into the ground, disappearing into the earth like it was never there at all. The circle is just rocks again. We don't move for a long time, just holding each other while the night slowly fades outside. The sky begins to lighten in the east, first deep purple, then pink, then gold. The most beautiful sunrise I've ever seen, because it means we survived. At exactly 6 a.m., the church bell rings once to signal dawn. Halloween is officially over. Mom pulls away and wipes her eyes. Start packing. We leave in an hour. We work quickly, shoving clothes and valuables into bags, taking only what we can carry. I take one last look around my room, at the place I've lived my entire life, and I try to memorize it. The way the morning light comes through the window, the creak of the floorboards in the corner, the water stain on the ceiling that's shaped like a rabbit. I'll never see this room again. I'll never see this cabin again. And despite everything that happened here, despite all the terror and loss, that hurts. This was my home. When we're ready, bags packed and loaded in Mom's old truck, we stand on the porch one last time. The morning is beautiful, peaceful. Birds are singing. The wind rustles through the trees. It's hard to believe that just hours ago, this place was full of nightmares. Mom looks up at the cabin, at the carved rules above the door that are still visible even in the daylight. Should we burn it? Make sure they can't use it for anything? I think about it, then shake my head. No. Let them have it. Let them have this whole hollow. We don't need it anymore. As we walk to the truck, I notice something on the porch steps. The clay bowl we used for the offering, the one that should have been taken during the night. It's sitting there, perfectly intact, with a piece of paper inside. Mom picks it up carefully and unfolds the paper. Her face goes pale as she reads. What does it say? She hands it to me. The writing is old-fashioned, spidery, written in something dark that might be ink, or might be something worse. Your debt is marked. One offering missed, one rule broken, one door opened. The price will be paid, if not by you, then by your blood. Run far, Emma Garrison. Run fast. But know that distance means nothing to us. We are patient. We are eternal. And we will remember. I crumple the paper and throw it as far as I can. Let them remember. We're still leaving. Mom nods, and we climb into the truck. The engine coughs and sputters before finally starting. As we pull away from the cabin, I look back one last time. Standing in the doorway of the Pritchard house, barely visible in the morning light, is a tall figure in a wide-brimmed hat. It raises one long arm in what might be a wave or might be a threat. I turn away and don't look back again. We drive through Pine Hollow, past the other cabins, most of them empty now, past the church with its bell tower, past the covered bridge where we saw the lantern light. We drive until we reach the main road, and then we keep driving. Mom has tears running down her face, but she doesn't slow down. We'll be okay, she says, though I'm not sure if she's trying to convince me or herself. We'll find somewhere new, somewhere safe, somewhere that doesn't have rules written in fire. Mom, what if they meant it? What if distance doesn't matter? What if they can find us wherever we go? She's quiet for a long moment. Then we'll deal with it when it happens. But at least we won't be making it easy for them. At least we won't be sitting in that cabin waiting for next October. I look down at Claire's bracelet, still clutched in my hand. I should probably throw it away, but I can't. It's all I have left of my sister, the real one, not the things that wear her face. Do you think she's at peace? I ask quietly. Claire? Mom reaches over and squeezes my hand. I hope so, baby. I really hope so. We drive for hours, putting miles between us and Pine Hollow. We stop for gas in a town where nobody knows us, where Halloween decorations are still up and smiling jack-o'-lanterns sit on porches. Normal Halloween, the kind kids enjoy. It feels like a different world. By late afternoon, we cross the state line into Ohio. Mom's cousin lives in a small town called Willowbrook, and she's already called ahead to say we're coming. She doesn't know why we're leaving Pine Hollow. Mom just told her we needed a fresh start. That's true in a way. We do need a fresh start. We need to learn how to live without fear, how to sleep without listening for footsteps in the dark. how to make it through October without counting down the days until Halloween. I don't know if we'll ever really be free of Pine Hollow. I don't know if the things we left behind will keep their promise to find us. But I know we had to try. We had to leave. As the sun sets on November 1st, painting the Ohio sky in shades of orange and red, I allow myself to feel something I haven't felt in a long time. Hope. Maybe we really can start over. Maybe we really can escape. But deep down, in a place I don't like to acknowledge, I know the truth. The rules might be specific to Pine Hollow, but the things that made those rules, they're older than that one hollow. They're older than Kentucky, older than America, older than anything human. They came with the first settlers from Scotland, and before that, they were in Scotland, and before that, they were somewhere else. They're everywhere. They've always been everywhere. Most places, most people just don't know how to see them. Pine Hollow knows because the veil is thinner there. The rules are written down because they have to be. But I've started to wonder if maybe every place has its own rules, its own accommodations with the darkness. Maybe we just haven't learned them yet. Next October, wherever we are, I'll be watching, listening, waiting to see if new rules appear, waiting to see if the things we left behind have kept their promise, and if they come for us, if they find us despite the distance, at least this time we'll know what we're dealing with. At least this time we won't wait until Halloween to run. For now, though, we're free. The truck keeps moving forward, carrying us toward a new life, a new home, a new chance. I lean my head against the window and watch the landscape change, trees and hills giving way to flat farmland, the mountains disappearing behind us. Somewhere back in those mountains, in a forgotten hollow in Harlan County, a cabin stands empty. Above its fireplace, 7 rules are burned into wood, with an 8th waiting beneath. The clock on the mantel keeps ticking. The white stones in the yard sit in their circle. The door to the Pritchard house stands open, and the things that live in the darkness wait patiently for next Halloween, when the rules will demand even more, and the night will be even longer, and the price for survival will be even higher. But we won't be there to pay it. We're done with rules. We're done with Halloween in Pine Hollow. At least, that's what I tell myself as the Ohio welcome sign passes by outside the window, and Mom reaches over to hold my hand, and the sun finally sets on the worst Halloween of our lives. I want to believe we're safe now. I want to believe distance matters. But Claire's bracelet is still in my pocket, and sometimes, late at night in the weeks that follow, I'll wake up and hear 3 knocks on whatever door is closest, and I'll remember that some debts can never be outrun.